Have you ever felt like your kindness is being used as a doormat while your life slowly crumbles? We often strive to be good people, but that very trait can become a dangerous, hidden trap. Deep down, you know something is wrong, yet you continue to tolerate the pain for others. There are 5 specific behaviors that have the power to destroy a person's life slowly and quietly. These destructive patterns often start small, masking their true intent behind the faces of those we love. Too often, we find ourselves accepting toxic behaviors from the very family members we hold most dear. We tell ourselves it is just how they are, sacrificing our own peace to keep the family whole. Similarly, we often accept these same destructive behaviors from friends we have known for many years. Loyalty is a virtue, but blind loyalty to someone who hurts you is simply a slow form of self-sabotage. Think of these behaviors like a slow leak that eventually causes the entire foundation of your life to rot. When you lack clear boundaries, you invite others to treat your time and emotions as if they are worthless. This creates a draining one-way relationship where you give everything while receiving absolutely nothing in return. Why do we let the people closest to us treat us the worst while we stay silent? Is being called a good person worth losing your self-respect and your inner peace of mind? Every time you ignore a red flag, you face a heavy consequence that chips away at your future. Toxic behaviors thrive in the silence of good people who are too afraid to stand their ground. You might think you are being patient, but you are actually training people how to mistreat you. Reclaiming your life requires the courage to set firm boundaries, even when it feels incredibly uncomfortable. It is time to stop letting others hold the matches to the house of your personal happiness. Let us explore these 5 behaviors so you can reclaim your self-worth and build the life you truly deserve. Why do we often allow the people we love most to treat us the very worst? We often accept destructive behaviors from family members simply because we share the same last name. This loyalty creates a blind spot where toxic behaviors are forgiven instead of being addressed firmly. We tell ourselves that blood is thicker than water to justify the pain they cause us. However, ignoring these patterns only teaches them that your boundaries are purely optional and easily crossed. It is a difficult truth that your own home can sometimes become a breeding ground for disrespect. Friends also fall into this category, often testing our limits under the guise of shared history. We frequently accept destructive behaviors from friends because we fear the loneliness of starting over again. You might find yourself trapped in a one-way relationship where you give everything and receive nothing. True friendship should offer support, yet we often settle for people who only drain our energy. This vulnerability often stems from a deep-seated desire to be seen as a good, patient person. You believe that being kind means tolerating mistreatment, but that is a dangerous misunderstanding of virtue. Your desire to be good should not come at the high cost of your own mental peace. When we fail to set a consequence, we are essentially inviting others to continue their harmful actions. Self-respect is not about being cold. It is about knowing exactly where you end and others begin. Without clear boundaries, the people closest to you will unintentionally continue to overstep and cause harm. We often mistake silence for strength, but staying quiet only reinforces the cycle of toxic behavior. Breaking these patterns requires us to prioritize our well-being over the comfort of those who hurt us. It feels personal because it is, yet the solution remains rooted in your own self-worth. Understanding why you let them in is the first step toward closing the door on disrespect. You deserve relationships that build you up rather than ones that slowly tear your spirit down. Now, we must identify the specific signs of these destructive patterns before they settle in permanently. 3 years ago, I hit a breaking point that completely changed my perspective on everything. I know this because I lived it, experiencing the harsh reality of a one-way relationship firsthand. A person I loved and trusted began treating me poorly, sparking a deep internal conflict. They looked me in the eye and lied, shattering the foundation of the bond we shared. Every time they spoke, I felt myself shrinking under the weight of their blatant dishonesty. It is painful to remember the exact moment I realized I was being deliberately ignored. Being made to feel small is like being a giant forced to live in a dollhouse. I struggled to understand why someone so close would treat me with such cold indifference. They dismissed my feelings as if they didn't matter, pushing me further into the shadows. How do you look someone in the eye when you know they are looking through you? The silence was deafening as they chose to ignore my voice during my most vulnerable moments. I felt invisible, like a ghost haunting the rooms of a home that no longer welcomed me. That treatment left me questioning if I even deserved to take up space in this world. I realized then that toxic behaviors often thrive in the silence of those who remain kind. My kindness had become a doormat, and I was tired of being walked on every day. I had to decide if my self-respect was worth more than a connection that drained me. The shift in my mindset began when I finally recognized the patterns of this one-way relationship. I learned that without a clear consequence, the disrespect would only continue to grow over time. Setting firm boundaries was the only way to escape the cycle of feeling perpetually small. That feeling of being small? It was the last time I ever allowed it to happen. I didn't just walk away from that pain. I built a system to ensure it never happened again. What would your life look like if you possessed an ironclad defense against every toxic behavior? I took the fragments of my broken confidence and forged them into 5 non-negotiable rules. These rules became a firewall for my soul, protecting me from every future one-way relationship. Are you ready to stop wishing for respect and finally start demanding it from everyone you meet? For years, I tested these behavioral standards on myself to see if they truly held up. It wasn't an overnight fix, but a deliberate process of refining how I interacted with the world. I needed to know if these boundaries could survive the pressures of real, messy human connections. Once I saw the results in my own life, I began teaching these rules to my friends. They were tired of being doormats and desperate for a way to reclaim their personal power. Watching them transform their lives confirmed that these simple rules were more than just personal preferences. We discovered that setting a clear consequence is the only way to stop someone from overstepping. This methodology isn't about being cold. It is about building a foundation of radical self-respect. I decided that I would never again accept certain behaviors from anyone, no matter who they were. This commitment changed how I walked, how I spoke, and how I viewed my own inherent worth. These rules are universal, applying to every single person who enters your personal or professional circle. You might think some people are exempt from these standards because of their status or authority, but I learned that these boundaries apply to everyone in your life, including your own boss. If you allow a manager to mistreat you, you are sacrificing your dignity for a paycheck. By applying these 5 simple rules, you shift the energy from being a victim to an architect. Now, it is time for you to learn the exact system that changed everything for me. And these rules aren't just for your friends. They are for everyone, even your boss. Most people believe that professional hierarchy means sacrificing their personal boundaries for a monthly paycheck. But the truth is, your self-respect should not stop the moment you clock into your job. We often tolerate toxic behaviors from a manager that we would never accept from a friend. Is your professional life becoming a draining one-way relationship where you give everything and get nothing? It is time to apply my 5 rules of engagement to every colleague and superior. Imagine walking into your office with a shield built from your own unwavering set of standards. I made a radical decision to never accept disrespectful behavior from anyone, including my boss. This shift changed my entire professional dynamic and forced those around me to adjust their tone. When you set clear boundaries, you demonstrate that your time and mental health are non-negotiable assets. Without a clear consequence for poor treatment, you are essentially training people how to mistreat you. Do not let the fear of a difficult conversation keep you trapped in a cycle of disrespect. A workplace that demands you abandon your dignity is not an environment where you can truly thrive. By identifying toxic behaviors early, you can protect your energy before the burnout begins to set in. Your boss may sign your paycheck, but they do not own your sense of self or worth. Every interaction is an opportunity to reinforce the high standards you have set for your own life. If a colleague crosses a line, they must understand exactly where your personal boundaries are located. Maintaining professional self-respect often requires the courage to say no when a request feels exploitative. Remember that a one-way relationship in the office is just as damaging as one at home. You deserve a career where your contributions are valued without sacrificing your peace of mind daily. Applying these rules in the workplace is the final step toward complete personal and professional freedom. Let's start with the behavior that foundations are built on or destroyed by, the very first rule. Rule number 1 states that the moment you accept a lie, you agree you aren't worth truth. Why do we make excuses for people who do not respect us enough to be completely honest? We often prioritize the comfort of a false reality over the harsh pain of a difficult truth. But this compromise is the first step toward a toxic and draining one-way relationship with others. Our research identified lying as the single most destructive behavior that begins any cycle of abuse. Lying acts as the termite of relationships, eating the structure away quietly from the inside out. When someone looks you in the eye and deceives you, they are setting a dangerous new precedent. They are testing your boundaries to see exactly how much disrespect you are willing to tolerate. If you let it pass, you are signaling that your self-respect is negotiable for their convenience. Every time you ignore a blatant falsehood, you chip away at the foundation of your own worth. Is a relationship built on a lie actually a relationship at all, or just a performance? Accepting a lie is equivalent to agreeing with the liar's shockingly low valuation of your importance. You are essentially telling them that their deception is more valuable than your need for honesty. This subtle agreement reinforces their belief that you do not deserve the dignity of the truth. Toxic behaviors often start small, but they grow rapidly when met with zero consequence or resistance. We often remember the loved one from 3 years ago who broke our trust with a lie. That single moment of deception was not an accident. It was a clear statement of their intent. They valued their secret more than they valued your peace of mind or your shared future. By accepting that lie, you unknowingly confirmed that their low opinion of you was actually correct. Your self-respect depends on your refusal to live in a world crafted by someone else's deceit. Establishing firm boundaries means making it clear that the truth is the only currency you accept. When you demand honesty, you are demanding the respect that every human being fundamentally deserves. You must recognize that anyone willing to lie to you has already decided you aren't worth honesty. This realization is painful, but it is the necessary shield that protects your heart from further harm. Do not allow your kindness to become the open door through which liars enter your life. Stop making excuses for those who refuse to treat your trust as the sacred gift it is. Reclaiming your value starts with the simple act of refusing to participate in a dishonest narrative. But knowing they are lying is only half the battle in this journey toward total self-respect. Here is exactly how you end the cycle and ensure your boundaries are never crossed again. Stop letting them get away with it and say these exact 8 life-changing words right now. Confrontation doesn't have to be a screaming match that leaves you feeling drained and exhausted. Why are we more afraid of calling out a lie than being lied to every day? The moment you catch a lie, you must speak up with absolute calm and total clarity. Take a deep breath and prepare to stand your ground without raising your voice at all. Look them in the eyes and simply state, "That's not true. I know what really happened." These 8 words act as a firm boundary that protects your integrity and your self-respect. What is the worst that could possibly happen if you finally decide to speak the truth? They might decide to leave your life, and honestly, that is exactly what needs to happen. Calling out a lie is like turning on a bright light to scatter the hidden cockroaches. Dishonest people cannot survive in an environment where truth is the standard for every interaction. By calling out these lies, I watch dishonest people slowly start to vanish from my life. This natural filtering process removes toxic behaviors that have been holding you back for too long. You are not being mean. You are simply refusing to participate in a one-way relationship anymore. When there are no consequences for lying, you are essentially teaching people that it is okay. Reclaiming your narrative starts with the courage to address the deception the moment it happens. Silence is often mistaken for permission, so you must find your voice to stop the cycle. This specific script removes the emotion and focuses entirely on the objective facts of the situation. Standing up for the truth is the ultimate act of self-respect in any professional setting. You are filtering out the toxic behaviors that drain your energy and cloud your clarity. Liars depend on your silence and your politeness to keep their complex web of deception alive. Break that silence today and watch how quickly your environment begins to change for the better. Imagine the peace you will feel when your inner circle is built entirely on radical honesty. Every time you speak up, you strengthen the foundation of the life you are building. When you speak the truth, the liars will start to vanish on their own very quickly. If they do not value your time, they do not value you at a fundamental level. They are not just late. They are stealing the only asset you can never get back. The second behavior we must address is when people consistently choose to disrespect your time. This toxic behavior includes showing up late and canceling your important plans at the last minute. Think of your time as a precious currency that you can never earn back once spent. When someone wastes it, they are effectively acting like a thief in your daily life. Time disrespect is a quiet way of saying that their life is more important than yours. Ask yourself, would this same person ever be late for a meeting with a powerful millionaire? If they can be punctual for others, their lateness with you is a choice, not a mistake. How many hours of your life have you wasted waiting for someone who simply did not care? This is not just about a busy schedule. It is about establishing a clear hierarchy of respect. Remember the loved one I mentioned who ignored my needs while I was struggling to survive? Their constant cancellations were the first signs that our connection was becoming a one-way relationship. Failing to set boundaries here sends a message that your needs are secondary to their whims. Every minute you spend waiting is a minute you are not investing in your own self-respect. Tolerating chronic lateness teaches people that your life revolves around their lack of organization. You must realize that your presence is a gift that should never be taken for granted. When they cancel at the last moment, they are prioritizing their comfort over your commitment. This pattern is one of the most common toxic behaviors that people pleasers often overlook. Every time you accept a weak excuse, you weaken the boundaries that protect your worth. Demand a consequence for this behavior, or prepare to remain an afterthought in their world. Your time is the canvas of your life, and you must decide who deserves a place on it. It is time to stop letting people treat your schedule like an optional suggestion. If they cannot respect the clock, they cannot respect the person standing behind it. This isn't about a busy schedule. It is about a fundamental hierarchy of respect. I had to draw a line in the sand because respect starts with how you value minutes. One chance. That is it, no exceptions. It is the only way to protect your daily peace. If you give them a second chance to waste your time, aren't you just wasting it yourself? We often fall into the trap of believing that being understanding means accepting repeated and blatant disrespect. But constant forgiveness for time wasting is like pouring water into a heavy bucket with no bottom. You are essentially giving away pieces of your life to someone who treats them as disposable. My new rule for time disrespect allows for exactly one chance before I change the dynamic. This isn't about being cruel. It's about establishing a firm consequence for your personal well-being. When someone misses a deadline or skips a meeting, they are showing you their true priorities. Why should your free time ever be considered less valuable than their supposedly busy schedule? Every time you tolerate a delay without a word, you signal that your boundaries are negotiable. Toxic behaviors often hide behind the mask of being disorganized, but we must see the truth. A one-way relationship thrives when one person values the other's schedule more than their own. Breaking this cycle requires a level of self-respect that many of us have forgotten to practice. Imagine the power you regain when you simply stop waiting for people who do not show. Severing the dynamic might feel harsh at first, but it is actually a vital act of self-preservation. You are teaching people how to treat you by showing them what you will no longer tolerate. If they cannot handle one boundary, they certainly do not deserve a second or third chance. Realize that your time is the only non-renewable resource you possess in this short life. Stop letting them get away with it and start enforcing the rule of a single chance. Once that boundary is crossed, the relationship must change to protect your focus and your future. It is time to stop the leak and start filling a bucket that actually holds water. If they truly value you, they will respect the line you have finally dared to draw. This single consequence creates a filter that keeps only the most respectful people in your inner circle. If they cannot handle one boundary, they simply do not deserve the gift of a second chance. But what about the wounds you cannot see right away when dealing with toxic behaviors? Sometimes, the cruelest attacks are the ones that actually sound like a genuine compliment or support. Have you ever walked away from a supposed joke feeling unexpectedly worse about your own worth? We are now uncovering the third specific behavior you should never tolerate to protect your self-respect. This behavior occurs when people intentionally or subtly make you feel bad about who you are. It is a calculated move designed to undermine your confidence while keeping you off balance. This toxic undermining is like poison wrapped in candy, making it difficult to spot at first. Often, these sharp jabs are cleverly disguised as harmless jokes meant to entertain the room. Other times, they arrive as unsolicited advice that suggests you are incapable of managing your life. They might even mask their insults as deep concern for your well-being or your future success. When you finally stand up for yourself, they will likely claim you are simply being too sensitive. They might roll their eyes and tell you that you just cannot take a simple joke. These common phrases are tactical tools used to make you doubt your own perception and reality. Is it really helpful advice if it consistently makes you doubt your own skills and ability? These interactions create a one-way relationship where your feelings are ignored and your boundaries are trampled. When someone uses these tactics, they are actively working to erode your sense of personal self-respect. If you start questioning your value after talking to them, you are witnessing a serious red flag. You must recognize that their words are not about your flaws, but about their need for control. Accepting these behaviors as normal will eventually lead to a total breakdown of your internal boundaries. Every time you stay silent, you reinforce the idea that their disrespect is acceptable to you. Protecting your peace means seeing through the masks of concern and the sting of cruel humor. It is time to enforce a consequence when someone tries to make you feel small or insignificant. Your self-worth should never be a playground for someone else's insecurities or their mean-spirited games. They will tell you they are just worried about you, but look closer at their actual actions. True respect does not require you to diminish yourself so that others can feel superior or powerful. I had a friend for years who only seemed to be truly happy when I was not. This one-way relationship thrived on my silence while they slowly chipped away at my self-respect. Every single time I shared a success or felt joy, they met my happiness with sharp criticism. For years, I tolerated these toxic behaviors, believing that true friends should endure any hardship together. I began to wonder why my joy felt like a direct threat to someone who claimed to care. If they really love you, why is your happiness such a massive problem for them to handle? Eventually, the weight of their constant judgment became far too heavy for me to carry any longer. I finally had to look this friend in the eye and firmly say the word enough. I stood my ground and told them clearly, stop, do not talk to me like that anymore. Setting boundaries isn't about being mean. It is about protecting the peace you have worked to build. Instead of an apology, they instantly fired back with the classic phrase, "You are too sensitive." That familiar label is a common weapon used to deflect blame and avoid taking any real responsibility. Confronting a critical friend is like popping a balloon, letting all that toxic pressure disappear instantly. Are you really too sensitive? Or are they just too mean to acknowledge your true worth? Recognizing these defensive responses is the first step in reclaiming your power from a toxic cycle. This moment was a test for the architectural shield I had built to guard my emotional well-being. Every action must have a consequence if you want people to respect the lines you have drawn. Choosing self-respect meant accepting that some people would rather lose you than change their ways. The moment I finally stood up, the mask fell off and I saw who they really were. Facing the truth about a friend can be painful, but it is necessary for your personal growth. Witnessing their reaction confirmed that the relationship was built on control rather than mutual support. When you start valuing your own peace, the people who benefit from your silence will always protest. It is a harsh reality to face, but some friendships are merely anchors holding you back. Identifying these patterns allows you to step out of the shadows and into the light of truth. My story is a reminder that you alone have the power to decide who stays in your life. Deciding who stays in your life often begins by confronting their reaction to your boundaries. When I stood up for myself, my friend simply replied, "You're too sensitive." This common phrase is a tactical defense used to avoid accountability for toxic behaviors. By labeling your reaction as the problem, they successfully shift the blame onto you. Phrases like these are specifically designed to make you doubt your own emotional reality. They might also suggest that you just can't take a joke during these moments. These dismissive comments are weapons used to dismantle your boundaries and your self-respect. When they refuse to own their actions, they force you into a one-way relationship. This maneuver effectively silences your concerns while keeping their harmful behavior perfectly intact. It is a calculated distraction meant to keep you on the defensive during an argument. Instead of discussing what they did, you end up defending your right to feel. This psychological trap is a common way for people to bypass unnecessary consequence. Recognizing this tactic allows you to see the manipulation for exactly what it really is. Your sensitivity is actually a strength that helps you identify when something is wrong. Toxic individuals will always frame your awareness as a weakness to protect their own ego. Breaking free from this cycle requires you to stop entertaining their false narrative about you. If they cannot respect your feelings, they do not deserve a place in your life. Choosing to value yourself means refusing to accept blame for their lack of accountability. Silence the self-doubt by remembering that your perspective is valid and worth protecting. Standing your ground against these phrases is the ultimate act of reclaiming your power. Every time you stay silent, you reinforce their belief that they can control you. Respect is built on mutual accountability, not on the dismissal of your human emotions. When you identify these toxic behaviors early, you can protect your peace of mind. Never apologize for having the courage to speak up against an unfair situation. Your self-worth is far too valuable to be traded for their comfort and convenience. We have explored what others do to you, but now let's examine what they take from you. Are you a battery that everyone else is plugging into while nobody ever offers a recharge? The fourth behavior we must identify is when people take everything, but never give anything back. A relationship where one person takes while never giving is defined as a one-way relationship. You find yourself constantly pouring into others while your own cup remains completely and utterly empty. Think about that person who only calls when they need a favor or a shoulder to cry on. When you finally need support, they are suddenly too busy or nowhere to be found in your life. A one-way relationship is like a seesaw with only one person on it, leaving you in the dirt. You are doing all the heavy lifting while they enjoy the view from the high ground above you. When was the last time they asked how you were doing and actually listened to your response? This dynamic slowly exhausts your emotional energy until you have nothing left to give to yourself. You deserve a partnership built on mutual support, not a list of demands from a chronic taker. True self-respect requires you to recognize when the scales of a friendship have become permanently tipped. Boundaries are not just about stopping bad behavior. They are about protecting your limited emotional resources. How much longer can you realistically survive on 0% while everyone else drains your spirit? Constant giving without receiving is a recipe for burnout that will eventually destroy your sense of worth. Identify the takers in your life today and decide if they truly belong in your inner circle. It is time to stop being the world as free charging station and start valuing your own energy. Remember that a healthy connection is a two-way street where both parties contribute to the journey. If they refuse to provide support in return, they are telling you exactly how they value you. If you are the only one doing the heavy lifting, you are not in a relationship, you are an employee. Recognize the drain before it consumes you, because you cannot build a future on an empty heart. Stop. Just stop. That is the ultimate test for any relationship that feels like a heavy burden. If you want to know the truth about someone, you must first create a total vacuum. Are you afraid that if you stop giving, they will simply stop coming around your life? Would you rather know the painful truth now or keep being drained for another long year? Stopping the giving is exactly like letting go of the heavy rope in a long tug of war. If the other person falls over immediately, they were never actually holding up their own end. We often overfunction in relationships because we are terrified of the silence that might follow after. This constant effort creates a mask that hides the true nature of a toxic one-way relationship. You have spent months, or perhaps even years, maintaining a connection that only you seem to value. It is time to reclaim your energy and test the foundations of the bonds you hold dear. To test a one-way relationship, you must intentionally stop the exhausting act of constant giving. Cease the check-in texts, the favors, and the emotional labor you provide without any visible return. This shift in behavior serves as a powerful consequence for those who take you for granted. Watch closely to see if the other person finally cares enough to reach out to you first. True self-respect requires you to step back and allow the other party to bridge the gap. If they value your presence, they will eventually notice the sudden absence of your tireless support. If they remain silent, you have discovered that your value to them was purely transactional. Facing this reality is difficult, but it is the only way to establish healthy, firm boundaries. You are not being cold. You are simply refusing to be the only one invested in staying. The silence you encounter during this test will tell you more than their words ever could. Use this newfound clarity to protect your heart from those who only seek to consume your light. Remember that a healthy connection is a shared bridge, not a solo hike through a dark forest. By stopping the flow of one-sided kindness, you finally make room for people who truly care. Their reaction, or lack thereof, is the final piece of evidence you need to move forward. Do not be afraid of what you find, because the truth will finally set you free. This is the rule that separates the survivors from the victims in every difficult relationship. If your boundaries do not have consequences, they are not boundaries. They are merely wishes. Why set a rule if you are just going to let them break it repeatedly? We must now face the fifth behavior. When people deliberately cross lines you have clearly drawn. It starts when someone pushes against the limits you established to protect your own peace. You told them where the line was, yet they stepped over it without a second thought. A boundary is essentially a rule you set for yourself to ensure your emotional safety. It acts as a personal shield, guarding your energy from those who would drain it. Without this shield, you are left vulnerable to every toxic behavior that comes your way. Think about the simple requirement that people must call before they show up at your home. Or consider the fundamental rule that nobody has the right to yell at you during an argument. These are not radical demands. They are basic expressions of self-respect in any healthy dynamic. Yet, some individuals treat your privacy like a suggestion rather than a firm requirement. Is their supposed right to yell more important than your right to feel safe and calm? Setting the rule is only the first half of the battle for your own sanity. A boundary without a real consequence is like a fence made of fragile tissue paper. If they know you will do nothing when they cross the line, they will keep crossing. You are teaching people how to treat you by what you allow them to get away with. Your silence or inaction in the face of disrespect serves as an invitation for more. True self-respect requires the courage to enforce the rules you have spent time building. Stop settling for a one-way relationship where your needs are treated as optional or secondary. If they cannot respect the line, they do not deserve the privilege of your proximity. Remember, a rule that is never enforced is just a suggestion that others will ignore. If they know you won't do anything when they cross the line, they will keep crossing forever. I once knew someone who treated every boundary I set as a personal challenge to overcome. At first, I thought my patience would eventually teach them how to treat me with kindness. But every time I drew a line, they stepped over it with a smile on their face. This was not just a misunderstanding. It was a repeated pattern of behavior that drained me. I found myself constantly making excuses for their lack of basic respect and common human decency. The emotional weight of this one-way relationship began to feel like an anchor pulling me under. I started to wonder why my feelings were always secondary to their desire for total control. No matter how clearly I spoke, my words seemed to vanish into a void of indifference. Every interaction left me feeling smaller, as if my very existence was an inconvenience to them. I realized that toxic behaviors do not just happen, they are sustained by our silent permission. One afternoon, the reality of the situation finally hit me with a clarity I could not ignore. I saw that they were not failing to understand me. They were choosing to ignore me. This person was not struggling with boundaries. They were intentionally disregarding them for their own gain. The disrespect was not an accident anymore. It was a deliberate choice they made every day. My self-respect finally outweighed the fear of losing a relationship that was already hollow inside. I understood that walking away was the only consequence that would actually protect my peace. So I made the hardest decision of my life and turned my back on the chaos. I did not offer a long explanation or wait for them to finally see my point. I simply walked away from the toxicity and chose to never look back at that darkness. Leaving that individual behind was the first step toward reclaiming my value and my own life. I learned that some bridges are not just burned. They are dismantled to keep fire away. Choosing myself meant accepting that I could not change someone who did not want to change. The silence that followed was not empty. It was the sound of a brand new beginning. By walking away, I finally gave myself the respect that I had been begging them for. This experience became the final proof that boundaries without consequences are merely suggestions for others. You have to be willing to do the one thing most people are too afraid to do. One warning. That is the absolute limit of my patience when it comes to my peace. How many warnings do they need before you realize they are doing it on purpose? Are you waiting for them to change, or are you waiting for yourself to finally leave? I finally established a rule that changed every interaction I have with other people today. My rule for boundary crossing is simple. One warning, followed by walking away forever. When a boundary is crossed once, it might be a mistake or a simple misunderstanding. You clarify your needs, set the line, and give them a chance to respect your space. But the second time they cross that line, it is no longer an accident or a mistake. A second violation is a choice, a clear sign that they do not value your rules. I once had an individual in my life who repeatedly crossed every single boundary I set. No matter how clearly I spoke, they treated my limits like a personal challenge to overcome. I realized that my kindness was being used as an invitation for their continued toxic behaviors. They weren't confused about my boundaries. They were choosing to ignore them for their own gain. This intentional disrespect is a poison that will slowly destroy your self-respect if you stay. Walking away from someone you care about isn't quitting. It's a strategic withdrawal from loss. You must understand that boundaries without consequences are merely suggestions for people to ignore. I reached my breaking point and decided that enough was finally enough for my mental health. I chose to walk away and never look back once I saw their true intentions. That moment of leaving felt like a massive victory instead of the loss I once feared. It was the ultimate act of self-respect to remove myself from a one-way relationship's heavy burden. You deserve to be surrounded by people who hear your no and honor it instantly. Do not settle for a life where you are constantly defending your basic right to respect. Reclaiming your power starts with the courage to exit through the door you just opened. I walked away, and I never looked back. You can find that same freedom, too. You might worry that setting firm rules will leave you lonely, but it actually does the opposite. In reality, these boundaries act as a powerful filter that leaves only the gold behind in life. When you set clear boundaries, the people who truly love you will naturally respect your rules. Those who value your well-being will see your limits as a guide to loving you better. Don't you deserve to be surrounded by people who honor your self-respect and your peace? Conversely, those who do not love you will fight your rules at every single turn. Toxic behaviors are often revealed when someone treats your personal boundaries as a personal challenge. Who in your life would actually fight for your rules instead of fighting against them? Distinguishing between these two groups is the final step toward finding your ultimate personal freedom. Since I began enforcing these consequences, my life has become significantly happier and much stronger. I am finally surrounded by caring people who uplift me rather than draining my energy. No longer do I suffer through the exhaustion of a one-way relationship that gives nothing back. Your rules are not walls meant to keep people out, but gates for the right people. Choosing self-respect over being a doormat transforms your entire perspective on every relationship you hold. It takes courage to stand your ground, but the rewards are a life filled with genuine support. You will find that the right people never make you feel guilty for protecting your heart. A boundary is simply a statement of what you need to feel safe and respected. As you filter out the noise, the quality of your connections will begin to improve dramatically. Looking back at my breaking point, I realized that these rules saved my future and my joy. Standing firm has built a foundation of strength that I never knew I was capable of possessing. You have the power to curate your inner circle and protect the person you are becoming. Why settle for anything less than a life defined by mutual respect and unwavering kindness? The strength you find today will build the beautiful life you deserve to live tomorrow.